update episode, and you guys will remember this particular story as we started the week, where this lady rushed into a church, went up to the pulpit, grabbed the Bible, very dramatic stuff, and pulled it out of their hand. We have a little bit of an update on some parts of this particular story. Now we can kind of like grasp what is happening. I've told you guys, yeah, we are growing. We are growing. We've come to a place where it looks like we know people everywhere. We know people there, a little bit over there, a little bit. We can kind of like get information all kinds of places. And when we had the Kawalia situation, very quickly we had people giving information concerning the story there. That's outside of South Africa. We had the situation with the church. What is it? The Methodist Church. The very next day, we had someone giving us the full detail concerning that story and telling us that that situation was because the pastor was pressing people's buttons, and people did not like or want him there because he was being a pain to them. Okay, they said he raised what, and people were now just struggling because he was just making things difficult. He wasn't listening to people, and people were now here with him. They were trying to get him off, and the circuit was just not hearing the congregation pertaining that. And so that's where that issue came from. And so we were able to get that info. Thank you very much to you guys. And now this story coming up, just showing how wide broad we are and like how far we go. I've had stories, of course, where when the information comes, it doesn't come in a manner in which I can come back here and relate it, because I just thought not necessary. I'm gonna toss that. There was a situation in a church in Limpopo, and they were white garment with blue thingy, and when the story went out, when they approached to clarify the branch of church, they did in such a manner I didn't think I would even give you an update concerning the story. I just scrapped it, completely scrapped it. And so there's a way. You want to relate information and you think the story was not portrayed properly, okay, you say come in, you say, Ricky, this is not how the story is, and rightfully so. The number is displayed publicly, so okay, so like we are there busy wanting to take someone's side opposed to your side. And so we are very wide broad. We are likely to get information pertaining a story, and so give a side of the story. Just don't try to block us talking about the story, because the fact that it's in the public space, we're going to talk about that particular subject. And so yeah, this is what now is being said from someone who is from that church, okay? And this information comes from someone who understands particularly the situation here, or what exactly is the story here, and the whole nine jazz. Now there's certain parts of the story I'm just going to leave out because, it's not in the public. It might be known somewhere. I'm not going to put that there. I'm going to say a portion of the story. So according to the story goes a little bit back pertaining this particular subject matter. The pastor whose Bible was grabbed there, they're saying when he said Angmaz, I don't know the lady, I was like, that's weird. You'll remember when he said it just sounded weird. It sounded off. It's not that I don't know him, okay? But from I'm a human being. I've been alive for a couple of years. in 2026, you have to tell people, I'm not a robot. I've been alive for a couple of years. I have a little bit of a memory. So there are certain things that just jar your memory. It just does not sound like. And so when the pastor outright, after someone grabbed his Bible and he immediately said, Angmaz, I was like, that's weird. That is weird. That is weird. I thought that was weird. The reason was, if someone is questioning me and I don't know them, I want to hear what exactly are they questioning me about. First, like, okay, wait, who are you again and why are you opposed? You try to get that clarity because, wait, like what's going on, right? That's kind of like the first thing. You don't go, I don't know them. It's like, that already raises the suspicions that you know the person. You get what I mean? Okay, so when he said that, that was a red flag for me. We didn't know, but based on that statement, it sounded weird. So the pastor, this particular church seems to be run by certain groups of people and so forth, whether they're family or what it is, or kind of like lined with, they seem to be a group of people that kind of like line authority roles in this church. The church has had a split at a particular point, and it became a power tussle. There was also a lady, I think, a sister there, particularly for the pastor, who occupied a role in authority. So going back into the idea, again, we don't know the full story there or what was happening, but there were certain accusations that actually led to her being kicked out of the church. And when she got kicked out of the church, okay, before we come to this, so you can understand the setting in case you've seen those particular lanes of stories. And then it branched off and it caused another split into a different church. And so, just so that the reason why this information was kind of important is so that we are clear that there might be different branches of this church. So I don't know what the other one is. It's thingy, but it is clear that there was a split in this church and it comes from this branch, right? So there was that split. This particular pastor, they said his name is Pastor Dube, okay? I don't know if the other person is called Lillian or something like that, or whether I heard the name somewhere. I stand to be corrected about that. Don't coach me. And so, as I was gathering the information, it was kind of like, just there and there. And so the other person was called Lillian. And so this pastor is Pastor Dube. So now the pastor here, it was said, the pastor, when he said he doesn't know the lady, that can't be. It's questionable. Okay, so it wasn't just us who were saying it. Now, someone who was from that side said it and said, no, yeah, the thing there, it's a little bit off. The reason being, the person who was kind of like giving us the kind of like the info stated very clearly, this lady is known in the church. This is not a person who's from outside. She's not affiliated with the other branch. This is also important to understand, okay? Which is why that information about the other church was given. This lady is not affiliated with the other church. This lady is from this church. As a matter of fact, this lady potentially used to work within the church's business. They say this church has a business which distributes products and so forth. And so, being it that she went and did this, she was risking her job. So I thought, okay, that raises the stakes. Something must have ticked off this lady. That raises the stakes, and something must have really, really, really pissed off this lady. And the reason why I say that is because if that particular claim that she supposedly works for the church is true, that's wild. Okay, particularly this business. They say there is a business, there is a business that is supposedly framed as it helps the ministry or something like that, okay? I'm not from there, okay? So, secondary information, we look around. Monjalaf calls it Aworoto. Aworoto. So, this lady potentially works for the company, and so therefore they claim that he doesn't know her. It's on the doubt. It's on the rocks. That is what this person was saying. He said, I'm not in the leadership position. I'm part of the church, and I know the lady. So it's not possible that he doesn't know the lady, because she works for the company of the church. So I thought, interesting. Now, there's a lot of other things there pertaining how far does he know her. I think they said he's married himself or what. And in this church, they say that there's particular strict rules of marriage and whatnot. There's questions. Basically, you can't just get married in this church, apparently. It must be approved from other people and what, and all that entire church, right? So, it's that type of a setting. So, how exactly he knows her, it's not very clear. And why exactly did she go to him? It's not exactly clear. But there is a certain thing about this specific interaction here that gets concerning, particularly about the particular side of the story which I was given. They say this lady targeted him. Okay? Yeah, she didn't just target any pastor. She didn't go to any other pastor and do this. No, she went straight for him particular. She targeted him particular. That's why I say, what exactly is the relationship of the pastor with this lady? How does he know her? Okay? We're not claiming anything. We're not saying we know anything. We're just saying, why did she target you? There must be a reason. Okay? Must be a reason. She can't just walk up to you and say, Ushumaela manga. Like, she can't just say that. You know? So that's the thing. Now, the reason also for that is because this particular Bible grabbing might have actually been something that she had wanted to do before. And she targeted particularly when he went to preach the first time. Ooh. And this was the first time he was preaching ever since the time when maybe possibly she was kind of like planning to go ahead and do this. Now, the person then further stated that if you actually look at the video, the lady does not walk up there when he is greeting people or when he is. She said, the person said, she stepped up the moment he wanted to read the Bible. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. You see, when I did the story of the Methodist Church, I stated this thing. This thing of throwing things under carpet creates problems. Because then stories float out there. You know, stories float out there. It helps to clarify what's the story about that. That's the story we get. Which clarity helps. Clarity helps because then we have, why particularly did she come to grab the Bible when you started preaching? Why did you say you don't know the lady when they say the lady works for the church? Does she or does she not? You know, it kind of becomes that question because now you've left the question out there when you say, I don't know the lady. Do you see where problems comes in this whole story? So there's a lot of things pertaining to the story that kind of like leave your mind running and stuff like that. But we'll leave that to the rest of the thing. As I've stated before, the stories that the people see in the public, we bring those stories, we bring them to light, and we ask the relevant questions so that people have clarity. When it pertains to subject matters of stories that are happening in church, we bring those stories, put them to the public, and put clarity around it. Okay? Yes, we don't want people to now say, yeah, you see church, this is what church. We don't know what's going on over there. You guys have that. Please clarify your story. Your story same. It's your story. Please clarify. Once we are clear, oh, okay, cool. We keep it moving. So this is what has been claimed, particularly from people that know the story from background. They say this lady is not from the other branch that had an offshoot. Nope. This particular story is not. This lady works particularly for the company. That if she was doing so at risk of her own job, there must be something that's taking her off. And when he stands in front of the pulpit wanting to preach, that must have ticked her off. She told herself, you are not going to hold the Bible and claim to preach. So that's the story. Siriki, other episodes will be down in the pinned comments, and I'll give you an update if there is need for any particular update, if there is a statement, if there is clarity or something, or another side of the story, a story from the lady herself, or who she is, or where it comes from. If she appears on a podcast, nowadays podcast be interviewing everybody out there, and so if there's any particular clarity, we'll then come forward and think it. But this seems to be the story that comes directly from someone that knows the story from a little bit up close. So I'll see you on the next episode. Other episodes down to be down in the pinned comments. Hope that clarifies what the story might be here. The lady seems to have particularly targeted him, not wanting him to preach. She might have an issue particularly with him, to say, not you. You are not going to preach. For whatever reason that is, she said, no preaching from you particularly. Ziriki, and I'll see you later.